Oh, pop up.
Just make sure you click continue so it gets permission to record.
Welcome to the Local Biz channel, where you get your weekly dose of inspiration and information to grow your business and fulfill your dreams. I'm here with Jane Tan, Rhiannon Elton, and today we're with Robin Grundon from Business 360. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Robin.
So just to tell you a little bit about Robin, he has strong leadership skills that help businesses build, motivate and guide high-performing teams by communicating with management, external stakeholders and internal departments to resolve conflict and achieve successful outcome. Robin focuses on collaboration and capacity building to get results. He was voted Manager of the Year by employees 3 years in a row with APN News. He's developed an action plan for department managers and executives across the company to address a high turnover via internal confidential surveys.
It's pretty long-winded, isn't it? What's that really mean?
Yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit about your business, Robin?
Yeah, certainly. And just a bit of background with APN News and Media. There were some real problems across the diverse range of regions that the company had general managers in. And as commercial director, we needed to collaborate in and around what was going on. And so to have I suppose, an independent confidential survey done to really drill down into some of the strengths and weaknesses of our general managers and our department managers. And then that became the platform of our improvement strategy. And over the time, I spent over 18 years with APN News and Media. And yeah, it was mainly a regional-based newspaper company. It's now obviously owned by News Corp and the Murdoch family and the Courier Mail, etc. So it's a big player now, and it's completely, I suppose, disenfranchised the local ownership. I can openly say that. The way the newspapers are shrinking, everything's now more online, and a perfect example is the way that we're communicating today. Is that we speak and act differently. And I can show you on the floor, I do have my daily newspaper in hard copy, but that just shows my age.
No, that's great, Robin. And how did you get into that business?
Into newspapers?
Yes.
Yeah, look, my career started in media. I'm an old rock and roller, actually. So I started in radio, and so I'm used to the headsets and microphones. And so I started in radio and then progressed to television for some time, and then went into newspaper as a very green skin, didn't even know what a tabloid was compared to a broadsheet newspaper. And I know people probably watching this today still don't know what that means, but a broadsheet is what the Courier Mail used to look like, or the Australian currently looks like. A tabloid is the shortened version, like our Sunday Mail in Queensland. So yeah, didn't know the difference. So, and then moved in, grew my career right up to commercial director of the company before doing some other things, and hence. I've always had a passion for employment relations and fairness in the workplace. And that led me into a different path of executive leadership and management. And have consulted for national and international companies for the second half of my career. My wife and I have always owned and operated our own small business. We started in fashion, then went into fitness. At the same time, believe it or not, we had men's and ladies fashion, so retail. Then we had our fitness center with back in the 90s was an aerobics center, for those that remember what aerobics was. Yes,
good old Jane Fonda.
That's correct. Yeah, get out your lycra. And so yes, I was an instructor for a while, and ran a gym downstairs and fitness center upstairs, and the fashion boutique as well. We have also, at times, we bought into franchise. So we had a bookstore and cafe franchise. I won't mention the name because it makes me quite ill. It was a learning experience, let's say that. And but again, you know, you've got to take the positives out of bad experiences and what you can learn from that. A lot of the newspaper industry's principal form of revenue is via via real estate. And as Jane knows, I did own and operate my own real estate company with my family for several years as well, as owning the bookshop and cafe and real estate agency as well. So I've had a very busy life. I've raised 2 adult sons who are both teachers, and very blessed to have them very close in our lives. They're in Brisbane. I live up on the Darling Downs because I love it. It was very cool this morning, but that's a good excuse to drink red wine and eat chocolate on your birthday.
Wow, that is amazing what you have shared there, Robin. Sounds like you have a very, very diverse experience and knowledge, as well as your expertise in different skill sets. Hence why that you've got now that you're doing 360, it's called Business 360, correct? And
Yeah.
And with that in mind, we've got the next question is, what is the strangest problem that you have to solve? And maybe in that question, you can share maybe 3 tips that our listener can take away and have a look at it, and even reach out and give you a call and say,
Absolutely.
Robert,
Yeah.
this one's happened to me and I need help.
Yeah, look, across the employment relations sphere where Business 360 predominantly focus on, it's about the relationship with the employer and the employee. Some of the biggest problems I find is clear communication and understanding. I mean, you know, I've just given a couple of minutes, a brief presentation and pitch about myself, and everyone heard that. Or I should say everyone listened to that. But what did you actually hear about me? What are some of the things that touched you is going to be different to the person beside you. So the way you communicate to your staff, it's about interpretation. Because, you know, the way that you communicate in writing, to have clear communication. So if one of the biggest problems that I think I face with my clients, employers are mainly my clients. I very rarely deal with employees. So an employer will have a problem with a staff member, and if you drill down to the origin of the problem, it's poor communication, and it's a poor understanding of that communication. So clear guidelines in an employment agreement is the foundation of success. Because if you go into an employment position and you don't have a clear understanding of expectations, I can guarantee you that at some point in your relationship, it's going to, I suppose, lessen. I have a really easy philosophy, and it's easy to show on the screen, is you apply for a position and you get an interview and you present your resume and you put your references of all the great people that you know, because you don't put someone that doesn't like you, you put all the people that love you. And I say, yeah, look, you're a great person. I think I want to employ you, and I'm going to pay you this much money. And so so everyone can see that's the level playing field that we start. And what happens is you have a probationary period and everything's really great. Like, you know, I'm really happy with you and you're doing a great job and you love it and everyone's happy. And then all of a sudden, you know, your performance starts to drop and we have a gap. And that gap in your relationship is where the problems start, because you're still paying the same amount. Now, a lot of really good employees exceed expectations above their salary, above their position, above their expectations, and then they want more money. Now, that's okay, but the reverse is where the problems start, and you have this gap of performance and expectations. So what Business 360 do is that for employment relations is the key is to have good employment agreements, clearly laid down as to what your expectations are, really good, solid, accountable job descriptions with KPIs, so key performance indicators. is so important. And how is that measured? And so that's a clear understanding. And at the start, not down here because it's too late, because now we're going to have a fight. We're going to have a fight, and you're going to need me, and then the Fair Work Commission is going to be involved, and we're going to have a $20,000 legal costs. And so the money that you invest early in getting good documentations and establishing good communications and good accountability. One of the things I learned in my experiences, and it was a very successful businessman up on the Darling Downs called Treg Rowe. He has still, he's passed away, but a very successful businessman. He was actually a sheep grazier. And believe it or not, he also had a retail furniture store. And one of the things he taught me years ago was about no surprises. So as managers and business owners, don't surprise me. Now, if let's say, for example, in real estate, if you, don't follow up, from your open houses on the weekend, and you get no listings, or you get, you're not making your calls. So those guiding principles are part of your job. That's going to be a surprise to your boss, because that was the expectation, that you would follow up open house leads and get so many listings and make so many calls. So that's a surprise. So Treg used to say to us in the newspaper game, he used to say to us, don't surprise me and I won't surprise you, which is very frightening if you get surprised by the managing director of the company. You don't want to be surprised by him because of the surprise that you gave him by a bad front page headline, or not hitting your sales targets, or being rude to customers, or any of those guiding principles in good business management. So to answer your question, Jane, I think, the biggest problems I face today is that people don't have a clear understanding of expectations, and it hasn't been communicated well.
That's correct. I totally follow that, and very much can relate it to some of the experience that you have shared. So the next question is, I'd like to find out for the audience is, what changes would you like to see in the future for small business in the workplace?
What changes would I like to see? I think, I think we can always be better. A lot of people talk about, I think one of the things that our current situation with the COVID-19 coronavirus is that people now have a massive opportunity here to do things differently, and to, the way that what we're doing right now, the way that we're meeting and connecting, the way that we do business, I think will change to be much more personal, because the consideration of I had a great situation last week. I had some businesses thinking of doing some promotions around Anzac Day. And they called me for some advice. And I just said, look, be very careful around Anzac Day, because it's a delicate, personal, I suppose, how would you say, it's something culturally in our business that we should not be profiting from. So be very careful how you position yourself around Anzac Day. I don't know if you saw Harvey Norman was running, printing out some poppy posters that you could put up on your front gate or your door on Anzac Day, and giving $1 or 50% of it, whatever it was, to the RSL. Now, that's all well and good, but very dangerous territory to start profiteering from an Anzac Day, because it's so personal. And COVID-19 and I suppose the way our social interaction has changed, it's a lot more personal. So I think it's now, and a legitimate reason to change the way you do business. I think if there's something, Jane, that I'd like to see change in business, is that people continue to change, and to continue to evolve. Don't do things like you did yesterday. I mean, things are a-changing. I mean, it's an old saying, and coming from an old musical background, things are a-changing. from Annie Get Your Gun. Things are changing, and they're always changing. So be prepared for change, because if you're not prepared, you're going that way, which is backwards. You need
On
to go
my
that
screen,
way.
it was forwards, but
Sorry. You got my drift. Up, 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 up. Go
yeah,
up.
go
Don't
up,
go down.
don't go down.
Yeah, very good.
Do you find that it's more or less difficult to create a workplace culture when you've got less than 5 employees? We've got a lot of micro and small businesses that either have family employees or family co-ownership, or they have maybe 1 or 2 people that help out part-time.
Again, I mean, I find it really fascinating. I mean, I've studied management for a long time. I followed, who recently passed away, a great CEO from America called Jack Welch. And if you've ever read the book Jack, he talks about leadership and management and culture. And he found it very amazing where someone will say, oh, I manage 2,500 people. No, you don't. That's rubbish. You know, you have chain of responsibility. Chain of responsibility maximum in Business 101 is 9. 9 people you should manage. They manage 9, they manage 9, they manage 9. And it equates out to the 2,500. So in small business and family businesses, now my wife and I have worked together very closely, and in our small business at time to time, you can create a culture of expectations. But it's so, I suppose you have a greater ownership when it's closer, and you've got to value that ownership, but also value opinion that creates that. And with smaller groups of family businesses or 1 or 2 people working together collaboratively, you need to respect and understand each other so much stronger than you do in your Chinese Commander 9, 18, 36, et cetera, as we go out. So I think you certainly can. But again, I mean, I could spin around. Now, I'm a one-man band. I work, oh, well, I shouldn't say that. I work with 2 other guys, but in 2 other guys in Brisbane. But in my own office here, I have my daily action plan. I have what my culture looks like. I have my, and I'm looking up at my wall here. I have my strategic priorities. I have my implementation plan. I might have my individual contribution from me as to what I'm going to do. I have my SWOT analysis updates, and it's a live SWOT as to where my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats are today, tomorrow, next week, next month. And I also have my clarifying my purpose. I think they're my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's another one, stakeholder analysis. Now, I'm the only stakeholder, apart from my lovely wife, who I look after and support, and she supports me. But they're the guiding principles that I have on my wall in my own culture. Now, you can see a little bit in my background. I create my own culture here. I have Stephen Jobs in front of me, right there. I have Muhammad Ali over there. I have my Harley that I want when I turn 60 up on the wall. So, yeah, and I have my Les Bohèmes when I sang for Queensland Opera poster up on the wall.
Wow.
Yeah, I have those things around me. That's creating my own culture for a one-man band. So to answer your question, definitely.
Beautiful. Now, you've got a lot of details around you at the moment, and it looks like you're in constant review of your own actions. What couple of things would you encourage small and micro businesses to consistently review so that they can reach the level that they want to reach?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think I used to have a screensaver years ago, and it would go across in the old days, because I'm old, and it just used to scroll along, because you can do so much more today, but it used to just scroll along, and it used to say, stay focused. And you just go, stay focused. Because as small or micro businesses, very easy to be distracted. And I can obviously see you're in a home environment, as I am. I mean,
this is my library.
Yeah, your beautiful library. So, but in turn, I mean, it's very easy to go and peg the washing out or do the chooks or quickly do this or quickly do that, or someone's at the front door and someone, mum comes over or whatever. So, principles around staying focused, a clear plan. But to answer your question about things to review, on my daily action plan, I have it down to numbers. I'm a numbers person, so I have 10 calls a day. No question, it has to be 10 calls. I have 1 proposal, must go out every day. I have 3 meetings, need to be set for next week, every day. So that gives me 15 meetings next week.
Beautiful.
Pretty simple. I have that every day. My top 5s, ready for top 5s?
Yes, give it to us.
I'm going to say the first one 3 times because it's written 3 times. Activity, activity, activity. Okay, activity is the first one. Activity, do stuff, be active. The second one is do a day's work before 12 o'clock. Do a day's work before 12 o'clock, so before lunch. So what I mean by that is go hard in the morning. Now, I got up at 6 o'clock this morning, did 6.5 Ks. I am on fire. I'm back, shaved, ready for work. That's how I start my day. I mean, because I know you guys in this group, there's a lot of people talk about mental and mindfulness and being in the moment, and I love that sort of stuff, and I 100% agree with it. But your mental fitness is so important. But so some physical exercise works for me as a mid-50s now. Today, in my mid-50s. So in turn, I'm at that critical stage in my life where, I need to maintain good mental health. Be organized and do so. Activity first one, do a day's work before lunch. Refresh my to-do list is the third one. Refresh, like your screen, refresh here and refresh what you're doing every day. Refresh the to-do list. Because the to-do list, you do all the easy stuff, don't we? Straight up. Yep. Tick, 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 coffee time. I'm so bloody good. But then you
cheers.
Then you take all the really hard stuff and put it on tomorrow. And then tomorrow never comes. And so refresh the to-do list and do the hard stuff. Do the hard stuff when you're, that first up in the morning before lunch. Do your fun stuff in the afternoon. Make all the fun. Talk to Jane, talk to everyone. Give everyone a call. How you going? What's going on? But do the hard stuff in the morning. When you work on your own, my fourth one is connect with the world, people, and the net every day. So have some real connection, have some interaction, because when you're on your own, you do get lonely. You don't have someone to argue about who left what coffee cup in the sink, in the smoko room, who ate my friggin' lunch yesterday, who stole the chocolates. You don't have the, traditional, water fountain chats. You need to have, and this is why I think these networking groups are fantastic, to reach out and just ring up and say, "G'day, Robin, how you going today?" Jane rings me every now and then, and that is the world, because you need to reach out as well to make connections. And then last one is spend some me time in the afternoon. Now, I'd love to show you a photo of what I got for my birthday. I got a Porsche Lego.
So much fun.
Yeah, I got a huge, big Porsche Lego. Now, I don't play Lego. I don't do Lego, but it's something I wanted for my birthday because it's me time. I don't play golf. I run. I play the mandolin badly, but I have some me time. So activity, do a day's work before lunch, refresh your to-do list, connect with the world and some people, and spend some me time in the afternoon. How's that? Woo!
Very good. I had one more question before I pass you over to Jane, who's going to go through her what questions for you. But you mentioned that like when employees start to drop a bit, they can get a bit rude to customers. Now, in my experience, sometimes you've got someone who doesn't know they're being rude. How do you help manage the expectations of the employee that don't understand that what they've done is rude to the customer? Sorry, my dog has decided the mailman is really excited.
It's very excited to see him. Yeah, look, I think in clear expectations, one of the things a good management practice, and I've got plenty of tips because I've been around a long time, but no surprises, but expectations about what is good customer, I'm just getting to your point, what is good customer service in your eyes may be different to mine. So the customer expectation has got to be what, you come to work for me, what, I don't care what your expectations are or what your levels of customer service are. They're my levels of customer service because that's where I agreed to pay you at. So that's our agreement here. One of the things with, and there's two areas. There's skill or will. So write those two things down. Skill or will. So the skill, do they have the skill? And that's when, said they don't understand what good customer service looks like, feels like, acts like. So you need to train them. Mm-hmm. Or if they are trained and on their CV say they were excellent at customer service, oh, that's a surprise to me. You said you weren't going to surprise me. You surprised me. Don't surprise me. So I need to either counsel you, so it's a willingness to do what you said in your CV that you could do, or I need to train you in my expectations of what good customer service looks like, feels like, acts like. How do I go?
Wonderful, wonderful. For your birthday today, I know you've shared a little bit about your highlights of the weeks. Maybe the next question is, what is one of your most defining moments in business, Robin?
Well, yeah, I think I may have put it, it's on my LinkedIn page, but I was invited to Buckingham Palace to meet the Queen.
Wow. Queen Elizabeth II?
Correct.
That's incredible.
And yeah, so in 2003, I was nominated as one of 50 Australian leaders of the Commonwealth.
Wow, that's congratulations.
Yeah, 2003. So, so it's an organisation. The patron is now Princess Anne. It was the Duke of Edinburgh. So this is a midline executive program called Commonwealth Study Conferences International. So there's international, there's the Commonwealth, and then there's the Australian entity. I'm on the Australian board of that company now. So after the initial nomination, I then went on to chair the Queensland Emerging Leaders Dialogue Committee, which brought together the 14 Commonwealth Pacific Island nations together in a conference. And that's what I was awarded with the opportunity to go and meet the Queen. Yeah.
Wow, that's a privilege.
Yeah, so that's my biggest highlight in my business career.
That's amazing.
Mm.
Thanks for sharing that. Now I'm going to hand you over to Tanya to have a chat with you on her why.
Yeah,
Okay.
No, that sounds incredible, Robin, what you've done and the highlights in your business. That I just like, why did you start doing what you were doing? So what attracted you to doing that in the first place?
Yeah, look, I'm a performer, as you could probably tell. I don't mind an audience if it is 4 or 4 million. I have, you may have heard of the band called Pseudo Echo from 100 years ago. I was one of their backing singers. So in the 80s, so I've had a very diverse career. So look, I'm a natural performer. I love the stage. I started at a very young age in theatre with Annie Get Your Gun. I played Jake at the age of 7, right through, and I've done Boy from Oz, I've done Wizard of Oz, I've done Rocky Horror, believe it or not.
Wow, so cool.
So yeah, so I mean, that, I suppose, you know, general extroverted behavior leads towards leaders, well, to what I think is good. And I love people. I love dealing with people. I love, so this isolation's pretty ordinary for me, because I love associating with people. I love my own space, let me tell you. I do. But in turn, I love an audience and a crowd. So I think leadership and management involves people. And I think one of the things I've always learned is the greatest satisfaction you can get is to take people to somewhere where they didn't believe that they could go on their own. And so I've played a part in there. And I love looking at LinkedIn, and I could show you probably a dozen managers now that work in senior executive levels across the country that I employed at some stage in their career. I gave them a go. I gave them a start. You know, they worked for me as a young salesperson, a young sales manager, a young editor, a young production person, you know, yeah. So I love, you know, that warm and fuzzy feeling of great leadership and great management.
That is amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a couple of how questions for you. In the current business that you're in with Business 360, how did you make your very first sale?
Yeah, that's a good question. Again, I mean, I'm pretty well known in my area, in my networks. I do a lot of networking. I mean, I love being part of this networking group, but I'm obviously associated with a lot of other networks. So it was my connections, and excuse me, in any form of transaction, you need to either, there needs to be a need and you're fulfilling that need, or you need to establish a need that they didn't know. So I believe that I'm a professional salespeople. I mean, I can ask enough questions to unlock a need for something, and then I will either come up with the solution and then I'll charge you for it.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. But whether you're, you know, selling a biro or whether you're selling, you know, multi-million-dollar real estate properties, at the end of the day, you need to establish need, and then you need to provide the benefits. You know, you can have features of a 4-bedroom house and air conditioned and a great view, but what is the benefit of that? So sell benefits and you'll create sales. Don't sell features.
And my last question, how successful do you feel like you are?
I'd love to show you a photo of my breakfast this morning that my 26-year-old son made for me. You know, I mean, yeah, success comes from, just tap up here. You know, success, I mean, I'm blessed to have 2 wonderful young men that I played a small role in raising. They're wonderful young men. I'm very proud of them. I'm 30 years married next year. And I have a very caring, loving wife that has supported me through extreme highs and extreme lows. You know, I nearly died in 2013. I've only got 1/4 of a kidney.
Wow.
So I had kidney cancer in both kidneys in 2013, had a year off. I then had 3 stents put in my left artery and my heart. I had a heart attack. So you'll see my post this morning, Tanya, that says, you know, I'm so blessed to be here. I am blessed to be here. So what I'm grateful for is living life. Yeah, I mean, everyone's got a story. And I think that came from one of your networking meetings, that everyone has a story about, I'm just trying to think who it was that talked about that. But yeah, Annette. I sat there and, sorry? Annette talked about everyone's story, yeah. And I mean, I could talk for hours on my recovery and the people that supported me and got me through, and you know, yeah. So to answer that question, Rhiannon, it's yeah, I'm grateful for living life.
That's great, Robin. We'll take you up on a story interview another day. Just to finishing up, we are really blessed. This is the bottom of our heart. I'm sure Tanya and Rhiannon agree with me as well, that we are so grateful to have you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. And for that, now if you found out that this was all a dream and you woke up back in your bed the morning you decided to start your first business, what would you tell yourself?
Get a job in government? No. Yeah. What would I tell myself? Probably borrow more money. Because, you know, I used to dream before I was married. So I'm talking, 30 plus years ago. I used to dream is that you need that first $100,000 to have a go, to have a crack at something, you know, because you've still got to go through the highs and lows of business. So I think I would borrow more money, take more risks, because you only live once, and the life that I've led for, say since my working career, because you may find this hard. I left school at 15. I dropped out and ran away from home,
Wow.
from a broken home, and lived in a caravan on my own.
Wow.
So you can hear plenty of these stories. But what I'm saying is that, I would have taken more risks younger. I would have traveled more. I didn't travel as a young person because I had no money. But I mean, as I said, my two boys have, my oldest boy's just come back from Japan. My other boy's been through Europe. The other one's been through Europe. They've both been to New Zealand. They've both travelled extensively. They're so much more well-grounded, well-educated. So I would spend more money and borrow more money and take more risks.
Thank you so much.